Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking this exhilarating shortcut into the past, pulling wisdom from a source written, 2 millennia ago?
Just about.
And it still serves as a perfect user manual for, I think, the overwhelmed modern mind. We are diving into the Enchiridion, literally, the handbook by the Stoic philosopher Epictetus.
Right, and it's not a dense theoretical book. It's a set of maxims, actionable, immediate philosophy.
And this text isn't just history, it's more like a field guide to achieving inner freedom. If you're listening right now and you feel constantly overwhelmed, stressed, maybe angry because the world refuses to do what you want, this deep dive is specifically for you.
It's the ultimate promise, isn't it? Freedom and happiness all packed into this little handbook. Our mission today is to get a handle on the single central principle that organizes every rule in this book.
And what's that?
It's called the Dichotomy of Control. If you can master this one fundamental division, you essentially gain a kind of immunity from external chaos.
Immunity is a great word for it. We all feel that internal pressure when external events just completely derail our peace. We want to show you, using the framework Epictetus provides, exactly how to locate the source of that feeling and, ultimately how to switch it off.
Let's do it.
So let's start where Epictetus does, defining the boundary. He is brutally clear about what belongs to us and what doesn't. So what exactly makes the cut? What is truly non-negotiably within our power?
The list is surprisingly small, but infinitely powerful. It includes our opinion, our aim, our desire, and our aversion.
So our judgments and our goals.
Exactly. Epictetus says these things are, by their very nature, free, unrestricted, and unhindered. They are affairs that are strictly our own. It's the only domain where we have true authority.
That makes a lot of sense. Our choices, our judgments, we own those. But what about the things we think we control but actually don't? What falls into that other category?
Well, basically, everything else is outside the fence. And the list of these externals is long, and frankly, it's painful for most people to accept.
Okay, like what?
It includes your body, your physical health, your property, so your wealth, your possessions, your reputation, what other people think about you, and crucially, your office.
Let's pause on that word office, because it sounds a bit old-fashioned, but I feel like it's incredibly relevant today. What did he mean by that?
He was talking about public status, career trajectory, political appointments, societal recognition.
So promotions, job security, getting professional awards.
All of it. Think of it as your place in the external world. All those things are externals. They are weak, dependent on others, and totally, as he says, alien to your core self.
That is a radical statement. It means whether I get a raise, whether my boss respects me, or even whether I maintain perfect health, all of that belongs to the universe, not to me.
Correct. And Epictetus is very clear about the consequence of confusing those two lists. The failure state is misery, guaranteed. If you try to attribute freedom to, that is, if you try to exert control over things that are dependent.
Like believing you must control your reputation or that the traffic must be clear.
Let's use that traffic example. The physical presence of the cars is totally external, right?
Of course.
But your anger about the traffic is entirely within your power. It comes from your opinion, your faulty belief that the road should be clear or that other drivers should behave rationally.
A belief that is almost always wrong.
And Epictetus warns that if we persist in this confusion, we will be hindered, we will lament, and we will be disturbed. We'll end up finding fault with the world because the world, it just refuses to conform to our demands.
So if the path to freedom requires us to stop being hindered, we have to fundamentally manage our emotions, especially desire and aversion. How do we apply this rule book to what we want?
He gives a harsh but really effective rule. If you desire things not in your power, you must be disappointed. It's an inevitability.
So you have to quit some desires entirely.
Or at least postpone them. Specifically, he says we must remove the habit of aversion from external things like sickness, death, or poverty. Trying to avoid those things with your willpower is it's futile. It guarantees you'll be miserable.
So where do you apply that energy?
You apply aversion only to undesirable things that are strictly within your power, like holding a bad opinion, acting unjustly, or having a faulty aim. You focus all your energy inward.
Okay, so if the whole game shifts to managing our internal world, then the next logical step is understanding how we process what happens outside of us.
Yes.
It's not about avoiding misfortune, it's about neutralizing it through perception. The text gives us really the centerpiece of Stoic psychology. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of things.
And that one idea fundamentally shifts the source of all our emotional suffering. It's the ultimate cognitive reframing.
How so? Well, Epictetus shows us that the event itself is neutral. If an event were inherently terrifying, let's say death, it would terrify everyone equally.
Right, regardless of their philosophy or background.
But it doesn't. He points to Socrates, who faced execution without any terror at all. Therefore, the terror consists only in our notion that the thing is terrible, not in the thing itself. That is so practical. When you feel that surge of grief or anxiety or anger, you have to stop and realize that the emotion isn't being forced on you by the event.
It's being generated by your own interpretation, your own view, which is entirely under your command.
So if I get cut off in traffic, the uninstructed response is to blame the other driver. A novice Stoic might blame himself for letting it affect his judgment.
Right.
What does the truly instructed person do?
The instructed person doesn't reproach others, nor do they reproach themselves. They just recognize the event, the car cutting them off, as something external and indifferent, something that simply is.
So when you feel provoked?
The source states clearly that it's your own opinion which is provoking you, not the action of the person who cut you off. You are simply choosing to be provoked.
I find applying this concept to personal relationships to be the most challenging, and yet the most necessary part. He uses that beautiful metaphor of the two handles to describe how we can approach conflict.
Right, everything has two handles, one by which it may be borne and one by which it cannot. This is all about choosing the interpretive frame that allows you to act rationally.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Consider this scenario. Your brother acts unjustly. Maybe he cheats you out of an inheritance or damages your property.
Okay.
If you grab the handle of his injustice, well, by that frame, the situation cannot be borne. You're fixated on his fault, which you can't control, and your anger will just escalate endlessly.
But Epictetus demands that we grab the opposite handle.
Yes. You must grab the handle that he's your brother, that he was raised with you, that you share this family bond. That handle makes the situation bearable because you're focusing on the relationship, which is within your power to maintain or repair, rather than his action, which is irreversible and external.
It lets you separate the person from the transgression.
It does.
That is intellectually powerful, but I think many listeners might feel it sounds emotionally cold, especially when we talk about radical acceptance of loss, particularly with loved ones.
That's the ultimate test of Stoicism. He starts with a simple analogy, a common object. If you have a favorite cup, a really expensive one, remind yourself it's just a cup. It's made of clay.
So if it breaks, you can bear it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The disappointment is minimal because your opinion was correct all along.
Yeah.
It was temporary. And he extends this unflinchingly to the people we love most.
How?
If you embrace your child or your wife, remember, they are mortal. If they die, he instructs us not to say, I have lost it, but rather, I have restored it. You are restoring a loaned possession to the universe.
That completely reframes death. It goes from being a personal theft or tragedy to simply the restoration of something that was only ever loaned to you in the first place.
You held it temporarily, like a traveler at an inn holds their room. When the manager calls, you have to be ready to relinquish it, not with sadness, but with acceptance.
With the pain of the event, the biological grief, that's real.
Of course. That's natural and human. But the suffering, the despair, the feeling that the world has done you an injustice, that is caused by the faulty opinion that this person or this possession should have been yours permanently.
And the truly difficult test is applying the same measure to yourself. When a neighbor's cup breaks or their child dies, we usually call it a casualty, an accident of mortality.
Right, we see it with some detachment.
Epictetus demands that we affect ourselves the exact same way when it happens to us. No exception for the self.
It's a high bar.
If we accept this rigorous framework, it becomes clear that just understanding it isn't enough. We have to commit to daily discipline. It requires setting an intention before every single action.
This is where theory meets the street. Before you do anything, you have to remind yourself of its nature, including all the possible external difficulties.
What's the example he uses?
He talks about going to the public bath, which was a rough, crowded, loud experience in ancient Rome. It involves pushing, maybe scolding, even petty theft.
So if my only goal is to get clean, I'm basically guaranteed to be frustrated when someone bumps into me.
Precisely. That external impediment will put you out of humor. The true goal, the philosophical goal, must be internal, to keep my own will in harmony with nature.
And if an impediment arises,
You can remind yourself, I desired not only to bathe, but to keep my will in harmony with nature, and I've done the second part. You won't be out of humor because the real self-controlled goal is achieved.
That sounds like an incredible preemptive strategy against disappointment. For everything from waiting in line at the store to handling a tedious meeting, and it forces us to confront how we pursue external validation.
Yes, and how we're constantly paying a price for those externals. You have to perform an honest calculation of cost. Epictetus says that offices, favors, even invitations to banquets are sold for a specific price.
And what's the price?
Often it's flattery, attendance, compromising your time, or agreeing with people you secretly disagree with. If you're unwilling to pay that price, you simply cannot expect the reward.
So you can't complain.
You can't. If someone else gets the high-status invitation and you chose not to compromise your integrity for it, you shouldn't feel cheated. You chose a different reward. Your reward is freedom, not to praise him whom you do not like to praise.
You purchased tranquility instead of a fancy dinner.
Exactly.
That puts a sharp focus on the trade-offs we make every day. If you choose the philosophical life, it means you have to accept, maybe even embrace, being thought foolish and dull about externals.
Absolutely. Improving your inner life is presented as intensely disciplined, like training for the Olympic Games. It requires a certain diet, pain, quitting some acquaintances, and even enduring being laughed at.
You can't train for a marathon while insisting on partying every night.
The same applies to philosophy. You can't pursue inner virtue while also chasing every external validation. You have to choose to be one man, either good or bad. Stop being an ape, mimicking every impressive person you see.
That fragmentation guarantees you fail at all of it.
Yes.
It sets the stakes incredibly high, boiling our whole existence down to how well we perform the role we've been assigned.
That's the metaphor of the actor. We are an actor in a drama of such sort as the author chooses. Whether that role is poor or crippled or a ruler, our singular business is to act well the given part.
Choosing the part belongs to the universe, but the execution belongs to us. That's our power.
That's the only power we have.
Okay, so let's move to how we cultivate character daily. What are the specific rules Epictetus lays down for self-management and social conduct?
The guidance is strict, but it's very clear. Your conduct should be mostly silent. Speak only what's needful. And avoid common vulgar subjects. He lists gladiators, races, food, basically gossip.
Because they're distractions from the internal work.
Completely. And if someone speaks ill of you, for example, do not rush to make excuses or defend yourself. The only answer you need is this powerful, disarming statement. He was ignorant of my other faults, else he would not have mentioned these alone.
That is brilliant. It turns the criticism into a minor observation, and it completely deflates the critic's power.
It's the hallmark of the proficient, the advanced student of Stoicism. They look only to themselves for all help or harm. They censure no one, blame no one, and if they happen to be praised, they simply smile to himself.
So what does this all boil down to? It means cultivating our reason is our only true business. Everything else is just excess that will ultimately bind us. He uses that great analogy with the shoe to drive this point home.
The foot is the proper measure of the shoe, and the body is the proper measure of possessions. If you make a shoe that's larger than your foot, or you start gilding it, making it purple, adding unnecessary decoration,
there's no bound to your desires.
there is no bound. The moment you step outside the boundary of natural necessity, the functional requirement of the object, you are carried down a precipice of endless want.
Modern consumerism is the ultimate expression of the gilded purple shoe.
Absolutely. The desire is boundless because it's arbitrary.
That makes the pursuit of external goals seem utterly futile. Finally, let's address the order of learning. Because he argues even those who study philosophy often miss the point entirely.
This is maybe his most critical insight for anyone who loves learning. He outlines 3 topics in philosophy. The first, and most necessary, is practical application. We ought not to lie, the action itself.
Okay.
The second is the demonstration, why it is that we ought not to lie, the reasoning behind the action. And the third is the logic and connection, why this is a sound demonstration, the technical analysis.
And where do we spend all our time?
On a third topic, we're ready to debate the complex, formal logic of why lying is wrong, while we are simultaneously lying to our colleagues, our friends, or even ourselves.
We study how to prove something when the most necessary part is just doing the thing.
Our effort has to be reversed. Stop debating the mathematical ethics of why you shouldn't cheat on your taxes and just stop cheating on your taxes.
This entire deep dive is a profound call to action. Epictetus tells us we are no longer children. This is the serious combat of life, the Olympiad, and it cannot be put off. Your honor, your peace is either lost or won in this very moment.
And as you leave this deep dive, take these final, powerful maxims from the text. These are thoughts to keep ready at hand demanding total cheerful acceptance of your destiny.
What are they?
Conduct me, Zeus, and thou, O destiny. Wherever your decrees have fixed my lot, I follow cheerfully, and did I not, wicked and wretched, I must follow still.
Wow.
And, citing the great Stoic example of Socrates, O Credo, if it thus pleases the gods, thus let it be. And Anytus and Meletus may kill me indeed, but hurt me they cannot.
That is the sound of true inner freedom, the realization that external forces can harm your body, but never your character. So, the final provocative thought we want to leave you with, straight from the Enchiridion.
You can be absolutely unconquerable if you enter into no combat in which it is not in your own power to conquer.
Think about your current life goals. What external expectation for status, for wealth, or for a relationship outcome are you pursuing right now that guarantees your loss of peace because it lies outside your control?
Is that struggle worth the guaranteed price of your tranquility?
That's the work of Epictetus, and that's the deep dive. Until next time, keep digging.